Espo in his house.
Hey everyone, it's me, Sally B. And today's video is all about the books that I read for the year 2022, which is definitely more than these three. So let's get started. The first book that I finished this year is this book, The Vanishing Half by Bennet. This book is about twin sisters who grew up in a small southern Black community, and they leave their town for bigger and better things. And one of the sisters, Stella, she eventually disappears one day and takes on this whole new identity when she passes as white. So between the two sisters, I definitely found Stella's story more interesting because I couldn't imagine what that must be like to just completely disregard your whole past, your whole identity. And I mean, I wouldn't know what that's like to have to make a big decision like that. And so I could understand Desiree, the other sisters, how hurtful that can be when somebody can just, you know, cut ties to another family member like that. I would have to say my favorite character is Jude. She was the only character that interacted with pretty much everyone in the story. Her relationship with Reese, who's transgender, the struggles that must have been like as well back in those times. I also liked Jude's relationship with her cousin Kennedy, who Stella's daughter, who doesn't even know her mom's history and doesn't even know that Jude is related to her. This book is loaded with so much stuff, so much topics. You know, it has racial identity, it has racism, it has LGBTQ abuse, and just, it's a lot, but you know, that's life. And the next book that I read is this lovely book, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This book is about a girl named Addie, of course, Adeline, and she is from the year, 1600s France. She makes a deal with a god after dark out of desperation. She pretty much wants to live a long, fulfilling life. She ends up making the wrong deal and she gets cursed with living forever. But the thing is, nobody can remember her. So the minute she's out of someone's vision, they don't remember who the heck this girl is. And I'm like, oh my god, that sounds horrible. First of all, I don't think I would even want to live forever. I mean, it sounds like it could be cool, but maybe if I was a vampire. Not even if I was a vampire. What am I talking about? I mean, my god, to be forgotten the minute someone turns their back on you, that's just, I don't know how Addie did it for 300 years. I would have been like, I'm done. I don't think I would have even made it to year 100. So she ends up finding out how to leave a mark in this world by art. Throughout the book, you see that people have created drawings about her, songs. So that was her way of, I guess, tricking, what's his name? Luke. Tricking Luke. You know me, sucker for romance. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm rooting for Addie and Luke, who, I mean, technically, what is he? You know, what, a cloud of dust or whatever they say? I was like, man, I'm really rooting for this. But then again, it's like when Luke mentions that she's not human, I'm like, you know, technically, yeah. How many times has this girl died? You know, zombie. The character Luke was supposed to be, I guess, what Addie desired in a guy in terms looks wise. I was like, did Addie draw that picture or did I draw that picture? Just kidding. I really liked this book. I liked Addie's whole adventure, having to see, you know, the struggles she went through and living these 300 years. The ending, I don't know if I really liked the ending. I was a little bit confused on it, to be honest. Another thing that bothered me in the book was how often it was mentioned about her freckles. It's like, we get it, this chick has 7 freckles that look like a constellation. Like, it was mentioned on like every other page. I was invested throughout the whole thing. I would not want to be Addie, but I definitely liked her character, you know. So it is June 18th and I just finished this book, Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid, which don't really feel like I could say the same about me right now. This book is about a girl named Amira who is about to turn 25. She doesn't really know what to do with her life. She's working as a babysitter for this lady named Alex Chamberlain, who's like a vlogger or influencer. One day while babysitting, Amira gets accused of kidnapping the little girl that she babysits, Briar, when she's at a market, and the security guard starts questioning her. There's this guy there who ends up filming the incident go down, and we end up finding out the guy who's filming, his name is Kiley. He ends up being the love interest for Amira, which we also find out that he used to date Alex back in high school. This whole thing happened back then where Alex has held this grudge against Kiley. So yeah, there's like a lot going on in this story. Out of the three characters, I feel like the one who's most developed is the character Alex. Not the most likable character, and besides not even getting to know Amira more on a personal level, she also doesn't even really seem to know her daughter Briar. And that's one of the things that I like about the book, is the relationship between Briar and Amira. I've worked with kids before, so I could understand. You can become pretty attached to these little kiddos. You can see how she really genuinely cared about Briar. And another thing that I liked about the book was how relevant it is to nowadays, you know, where people become viral for encounters like the one that Amira had in the supermarket. And it is mid-July, and I just finished Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, which I was like, what the heck is a crawdad? This book is about a girl named Kaya who is abandoned by her family and is forced to grow up all by herself in the marshes. The writing in this book is very nature focused. This book actually made me want to go to North Carolina and visit the marshes out there. So Kaya ends up getting this whole nickname, the Marsh Girl, and she's pretty much an outsider. So when a guy named Chase Andrews is found dead, Kaya becomes accused for that crime. The book has a lot of stuff in it. So it has romance, kind of a love triangle with Kaya, Tate, and Chase. And of course you have a mystery. This is spoilers, so if you haven't read the book, feel free to skip ahead a couple of seconds. So regarding the whole Chase Andrews mystery, I kept flipping back and forth between whether it was Kaya or not. Indicator for me that leaned more towards it being Kaya was the whole part about the praying mantis, where she's observing them and she sees the female praying mantis eat the male praying mantis. So as readers, we know that Kaya learned so much about life through the marshes and all the creatures that live there, that showed, it could be Kaya that did this. Because maybe she feels like watching how animals react in nature, that's something that's okay to do. Another big reason why I wanted to read this book was because they adapted it into a movie, and I am somebody who prefers to read the book prior to seeing the movie. So I'm pretty excited to see the movie and to see how they brought this story to life. The next book that I finished is, so this one is a book that I saw all over Instagram, very popular, very hyped up book, The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood, or as my nephew Theodore likes to call it,
Sally's kissing book.
Now the big question, did this book live up to all the hype? I'll say that it did. I read this book pretty fast. Once I started reading this book, I was hooked. It starts really quickly, gets right into all the romance. I wasn't sure if I was gonna really enjoy the whole fake dating thing. I don't know, it seems weird. Like, do people really do that in real life? And I feel like it works in rom-coms, like how to lose a guy in 10 days. How could I forget that movie? Olive's character, you kind of get frustrated with her always lying, and it's like, come on girl, just say the truth, say how you really feel. Also, I was kind of like, what the heck, her friend I think that's how you pronounce it. I was like, this girl's so pushing, man, like really pushing for all that stuff to happen. It seemed kind of awkward. Like, I would be like, okay, if my friend was really like, go slather some sunscreen on your man. I don't know, I get it, she believes that they're together, or maybe she was really trying to see if they were together or not, but it still seemed really like, dang girl. Now the infamous chapter 16, I wasn't expecting this book to be as spicy as it was. Like, when I started into chapter 16, I was like, well, okay, all right, yeah. The cover is very cute. I'm just gonna have a sip of my milk tea. I wish I was having a pumpkin spice latte. I am with Olive on that one. I love pumpkin spice drinks. I really liked the characters. You know, Olive, I like the whole contrast, sunshine against the moody Adam. I really liked all the little conversations between Olive and Adam. So if I look disgusting right now, I'm sorry. It is so freaking hot right now. I'm slowly stewing in my room. Early September, and the book that I recently finished is this book here called The Rock Eaters by Brenda. Peynado. It was close to ending up on my not finished pile because I'm actually not a huge fan of short stories. I decided to give this one a shot. A lot of the stories in this book had kind of a fantasy element to it. Like there was a short story that was about these aliens that looked like fireflies. I'm not gonna lie, there were a couple of them where I didn't really understand what was going on. The two short stories that I did enjoy from this book were the ones, which ones were they? The ones What We Lost and The Rock Eaters. I thought those had very interesting concepts, and those were the two that I enjoyed the most out of the whole book. It's September 27th, and I recently finished this book called Bones and All by Camille DeAngelis. I don't know if I said that right. Well, I've heard about the movie first. I mean, it's described as a cannibal romance, which, I mean, that was enough to pique my interest, and I heard it was based on a book, so I wanted to read the book first. This book is about a girl named Marin. A girl named Marin who is eats people, and her mom abandons her because she can't deal with it anymore. Marin goes on an adventure to find her dad, and along the way she meets other people who are eaters, fellow cannibals. This book was really interesting. Right in the beginning, Marin, I think, is a toddler or a baby, and she pretty much ate her babysitter. I was so confused. I was like, how could a baby eat a full-grown person? Pretty sure it's easy to fight off a baby. Like once they bite you, you can easily just throw them off or something. So that was kind of weird. I was like, oh my god, I hope the FBI doesn't come to my house, because I was googling like crazy about cannibalism stuff. I just found it weird, like some of the way that they ate people. This book, let me just say, this book is not very graphic. It doesn't go into how gory details of them eating. I did like the story. I mean, the characters, it's kind of hard to like them because of what they do. The most interesting character was Lee. I feel like he was way more interesting than Marin was. Marin kind of was just there. Minor spoiler, they kind of go into how it's genetic. Definitely is an interesting topic. Like, it is something that I do wonder where that does stem from, wanting to do something like that. It does make you more interested in wanting to learn more about the topic, but at the same time, it's kind of a weird topic to really delve into and look up about. Based on the trailer that I saw, I feel like the movie goes more in a romantic direction, because I mean, in the book I was kind of waiting for more of the romance. I don't think there was even a kiss in this book. Oh wait, no, I think there was a kiss, but in the trailer it did look steamy. It's October 10th, and I just finished this book, A History of Wild Places by Shea Ernshaw. This was a blind read. I didn't know really anything about this book going into it. I figured it was a thriller just based on the cover. It's about a man named Travis Wren who has the ability to see people's memories whenever he touches an item. And so he gets hired to find this missing author named Maggie St. Jane. While he's on the search to find her, he ends up getting lost himself. So then the book shifts to this small town small community called Pastoral. There we meet three characters, Theo, Kaya, and B. Throughout the story, secrets are revealed. I definitely didn't guess any of the twists that came. My favorite character out of the three was the character B, who is Kaya's blind sister. I think this was a really beautifully written story. It really shows a lot about power and how easily it is for people to believe other people's lies, and how they can just plant stories into people's brains. And the people of that community, Pastoral, didn't leave because they believed that there was this sickness in the forest and that they were going to get this disease called pox. When I was reading the story, I thought, is this like some kind of cult or something? But when you keep reading the story, of course, you find out what's going on here. And I really liked how this story just kept me on the edge of my seat. It made me feel like I didn't know what's gonna happen next. Okay, so here I have the last three books. Around Halloween time, spooky season, I read this book, My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. It's about two teenage girls who are best friends, and one of them ends up getting possessed. Abby, the one who's not possessed, is the one who helps her friend Gretchen. This book was definitely a fun read. It talks a lot about friendships and, you know, the lengths a friend will go to help another friend. It's not really that scary, but I feel like there was a lot of gory scenes in this book. So this book takes place in the 80s, and I also like how every title of the chapter is like an 80s song. Like this one, it's the end of the world as we... Wait, it's the end of the... Okay, never mind. I can't think of how that melody goes. I thought that was pretty fun. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Okay, I know the melody of that one. So the next book that I read is this book, Bunny by Mona Awad. So I don't even really know how to describe this book. It's about a girl named Samantha who gets invited to hang out with this group of girls at her school. The girls call each other Bunny, and pretty much from there chaos ensues. I've seen it being compared to the movie Heathers, which I was like, I could see that comparison. I feel like it was a very interesting creative story. I've never read a book like this before. Some of the book I feel like I'm not even sure really what was going on. It was a wild ride, and this book had exploding rabbits, so need I say more, right? Definitely interesting book. By the way, I actually have a pet rabbit. Don't worry, Bunzo, I won't let you explode. Now, to wrap up my year in books, I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. From the get-go, this title just grabbed my attention. The 7 Husbands, it's like, whoa, 7 husbands? Say what? That's, oh my god. It's about a journalist named Monique who gets the opportunity to write the autobiography of this famous actress, Evelyn Hugo. We get to hear Evelyn's life story. I love books like this where you really get that feeling of walking in someone else's shoes, you know, getting out of your own life. That's one of the things that I just absolutely love about reading, and this book fulfilled that. This book, you know, goes back to Hollywood in the 50s and shows the struggles that people had to, you know, especially Evelyn, who Cuban woman who had to conceal her identity, some of the ugly choices that she had to make in order to make it in that business, where sure it was tough back then. You hear so many stories, even though how glamorous it seemed, there was a lot of sketchy things that occurred back in those days. This book, I really enjoyed it. It was one of those where you couldn't put down. I wanted to also know what the big secret was, the connection that Evelyn had to the journalist Monique. This book was one of my favorites, if not my favorite, of 2022. Those were all the books that I read for the year 2022. I can't wait to start reading my books for the year 2023. In fact, I gotta go to the library and pick one up right now.